meeting will be conducted remotely. Members of the public are encouraged to attend and participate in the meeting remotely as described in more detail below. Is there any public comments tonight?
We have to do roll call first.
Oh, sorry.
And then we'll go through public comment. That's okay. Board Chair Bess Campbell.
Present.
Vice Chair McNeil.
Present.
Board Member Dembowski.
Here.
Board Member Zorns.
Here.
Board Member Perry. Board Member Marshall. And Board Member Mead. Okay, we have quorum with Board Members Perry, Marshall, and Mead absent.
All right, now we'll go on to public comment.
Okay, so I have not received public comment prior to the beginning of this meeting. However, we have 4 members of the public in attendance. If any of you would like to speak at this time, please use Zoom's raise hand feature and I will call on you and let you talk. No takers, so no public comment at this time.
All right, then moving on to our consent agenda. The minutes from the January 9th meeting and review and approve vouchers signed by the auditing officer for invoices received from January 10th, 2022 to March 9th, 2022 in the amount of $228,435.73. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. I think we could do a voice vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 And any abstentions? All right, moving on to reports. The NPRSA capital repairs update with Christine.
Remember to unmute myself this time. Capital repair report, the pedestrian bridge renovations and repairs is going along pretty smoothly. We've had a few change orders. The scope changed a little, which has increased the cost of the project, of the initial cost of the project. So we've gotten a couple of change orders. One wasn't really significant, but there was one big one that was about $90,000. What happened was under the pan decking, so the part under the walkway of the bridge, the initial scope to reduce costs was to just spot treat the rested areas. And so in talking to the Sherwin-Williams rep, we have some significant, I guess there is paint deterioration happening. And of course, we all know that there is lead paint there and we're going through the proper remediation, the steps for remediation for that. And so speaking to Becky, we thought it was just a good idea, instead of spot treating, to just go ahead and sandblast the entire pan decking, the walkway, under the walkway, and get rid of all the lead altogether, so that we were thinking that, if in the future we have to do some work or any other repairs to construct and the scaffolding and all the remediation again, because there is lead paint present, it would cost us more to do it later than it would now. So we made that decision to go ahead and eliminate all of the lead there on the bridge. So that was that change order. Other than that, everything looks smooth sailing forward, and we're on schedule to complete the project mid-April. The next item is the envelope, the senior center envelope repairs. That was on the capital repairs plan for 2022, but looking at kind of the overages that we've had with the bridge, and then we still are continuing on with the roof replacement and the HVAC replacement on that building, giving ourselves a good buffer. And the budget got a little tight for this year in the way our revenues come in. So we're looking at moving the envelope repairs for the senior center building to spring of 2023. So that'll help us out there as far as budget wise, especially if we have to make any reactionary repairs. The Health and Wellness Center flooring replacement is smooth sailing, and we are scheduled to start that mid-April. And then if you can go to the next slide. So here we are with all of our projects that we have scheduled for this year, and then we've moved the envelope repairs, like I said, to 2023. The only one that I haven't talked about is we talked about the roof replacement. We're waiting on the HVAC and the roof replacement for the senior center building. We are still in the 30% design phase. I haven't gotten the the estimates, the hard estimates from the contractors. So as soon as I get that, hopefully we'll be able to move that forward. We're looking at these two projects being completed in started in late September and completed in late October. So as soon as I get numbers on that, I'll be bringing those forth to you guys. Any questions that you have?
We have a question from board member Zoins.
Well, a couple questions. Any indication on, because I remember last time we were talked, there was concern about supplies for the HVAC work. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes. So we started the process with purchasing the actual units from Train. So we're in the midst of that right now. And it looks like the time frame I gave you is the time frame they've given me as far as when we can get the units in. The lead time on some units is about 20 weeks, and then there's one unit that has a lead time of 24 weeks. So we're working now actively to try to procure those units as soon as we can.
Oh, great. So those are in the pipeline.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, perfect. Okay. And then one other quick question. Man, do you help organize fixes on residential homes? I'm joking. But one other quick question, and it's more of a matter of curiosity because I know it's being managed on your end. You said that sandblasting lead paint. What is the process in making sure that that doesn't get into our sewers and out into
Yes.
our
So
water?
the whole bridge, if you go by the bridge now, the whole bridge is actually encapsulated. So there's a special scaffolding system that they have basically rigged around the entire structure of the bridge. So everything is being contained. They actually have to like change the workers, they have to change their clothes, and there's a whole process. So we get daily reports from our contractors, and everything has been going well up to now, and hopefully in the future. And
Yeah.
but it's a big process, remediation, especially when lead is involved. So we're making sure that we're doing our due diligence to make sure that the lead doesn't get into any of our stormwater or into the air.
Great. Well, when it's all said and done, I'm going to have to walk across the bridge and just appreciate all the work that went into it.
Definitely.
I think that's and you said the overage because of the blasting was $90,000. Is that right?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, no worries. Anyone else? All right, that's all I got.
All right, next up, sorry, I have an emotional support cat here. The senior center brief from Nathan.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. I wanted to provide just a few updates. It's mostly programmatic updates on what's going on at the senior center, just so you kind of know what's going on in-house. As I've discussed the last few times we met, the senior center is gradually reopening and more people are showing up. We're starting to see more people who haven't been here since the pandemic. I wanted to share a quick story. On Friday in our coffee shop, I could hear a rambunctious group kind of hanging out, and I didn't recognize them, so I went and introduced myself and said hi. And it was a group of 5 people that hadn't seen each other since before the pandemic. They used to come in. There were about 10 of them that would come in every Friday for lunch at the coffee bar and have coffee and catch up. And out of that 10, only 5 are still surviving. But the 5 hadn't seen each other. They're hanging out and they were hooping and hollering and just having such a great time. And it was so cool. And they were so excited to be back. And it was really neat to see folks we haven't seen for a long time come back. And also it just breathed life into the place. People, their enthusiasm was infectious, and you could just kind of see it spread throughout the room and the rest of the building. So we're starting to see that kind of happening again. As we're reopening, we are gradually relaxing our COVID protocols, just so you're aware. A lot of places in the community have kind of opened right back up, but we're still requiring vaccinations for now and masking for now. We've let the community know we'll reassess that at the beginning of April, but because we provide a lot of healthcare services on site, and because we work with such a vulnerable population, we're just going a little bit slower than the general public. And some people love that and some people don't, but we're just trying to find the right line to keep everybody safe and healthy. That being said, we are bringing back in-person dining in April, which has been a huge request. We're really excited about that. Right now, through our community dining program, we're delivering about 800 meals every month to people. And so as we reopen community dining, we know some of those folks will be coming in for meals. Some of those will still be on delivery. And those are just the community dining meals. That's in addition to the Meals on Wheels that we do. And it's also in addition to all the food pantry programs we provide. So we're really excited to kind of have one more component for health and nutrition and food inside the building. Also, breaking bread together is just a really important thing for our community. So that would be great to have back. We're also seeing a big demands for different things after the pandemic. As the pandemic winds down, we're seeing a lot of demand for our health equipment and accessibility equipment loan program. A lot of people are getting connected to healthcare and deferred surgeries and deferred mobility issues that we're able to kind of help with. So it's great to be able to do that. We're also seeing an increased need for social services, mental health programs, information and referral programs. We're starting up a dental assistance program in the health and wellness building because there's been such demand for that. So we're excited to have some dental care in-house soon. We're really excited about all of those because those are all things that help people stay independent and help them age in their own house. And so we're really happy to kind of bring those in online and try and ramp that up. Our employment matching program has also started back up. And I don't know if you know, but we used to run a program that connects people who are looking for some services like light housework or yard work with other folks in the senior community who are looking to who want to do a little bit of work and help out. So we do that matching of workers to people who need work done. And we're seeing a huge backlog in the community of people who haven't done a lot of stuff, a lot of deferred maintenance on residences and housework and things over the COVID. So we see a lot of demand. We're trying to ramp that program up too, because that also helps a lot of people in the community. Finally, our adult day health program is also getting up close to capacity for the days that we're running it right now. And we're seeing a lot of weary family caregivers who are so excited to have that up and running again, just an important service that provides for people. And we're busy. I mean, you can swing by just about any morning and you can see a packed parking lot. Part of that's because of the bridge construction project, but really it's great to see the parking lot kind of filling up again and people using the center. we're really, we've always run on a lot of volunteer efforts, a lot of hundreds of volunteers who keep the center going. And volunteerism has really suffered during the pandemic too. And so we're trying to wrap up our volunteerism and our volunteer recruitment program. And appreciate any support people can give. If you know people who are looking for some projects to work on, please send them our way. One of the things I also wanted to share with you is we're doing a lot of work as our board and our leadership team. As we're emerging from COVID, we're thinking a lot about who we serve and the types of programs they're looking for. Really, if you look at seniors in the US right now, as we're getting older, seniors kind of incorporates 3 different distinct generations now. And we're trying to think through how we design our programs and use our buildings to kind of serve each of their needs, and their needs are different. So some examples of that, we're kind of thinking about more intergenerational programming. There's a lot of demand for more health and active programming. So we're thinking through how we can adapt our centers to do that. For example, that sports court that we keep talking about, that's a really active kind of programming that that some seniors are really looking for. Another thing people are looking for, we have some commercial kitchens on site, but people are actually, especially kind of those seniors that fit between 50 and 70, they're looking for more opportunities to actually cook together and practice cooking. And so we have commercial kitchen spaces, but maybe we need some to think about what we need for kind of activity kitchens instead. So we're really starting to kind of wrestle with what our changing population is going to be looking for from the centers. And that's an exciting conversation. We're going to have you all involved in that as we move through that in the next few months too. Because we're also seeing a lot of uses, just many uses and opportunities in front of us. So we're going to think about what's most important. In support of that, just to let you know, in about a month, we're going to have a series of program visits, site visits that we'll be scheduling at the center. And so we'll be sending out some invitations to you all if you want to come by. Those are opportunities to kind of sit in on a fitness class or join one of our games for a day, or one of our health and wellness classes or discussion groups, or a pickleball lesson, or a site visit, walking the construction that might be going on. So we'll just have some opportunities to participate in some of those things coming up in about a month. So we'll let you know. We'd love to have you join us for those. And that's it for me today. I just want to see if you have any questions for me about what's going on here.
I don't see any questions, so thank you, Nathan. I appreciate the update.
Oh, sorry, Rod's got a question.
Sorry, I couldn't see any hands.
I'll defer to Councilmember Zorn's.
Oh, that's all right. Go ahead.
I may have missed this, Nathan. Just how's the budget looking? Top line, big picture.
Big picture, I'm not gonna lie, it's tight. It's a really tough year. It's hard to predict. We're trying to kind of keep both virtual and in-person things going at the same time, and also trying to kind of wrap them up. We're optimistic that we're going to stay on track for the year. Our goal is to have our boards pretty clear that we want to have we need to have a net neutral budget for the year. And so we're looking very carefully at potential revenues, opportunities to bring in some extra funding, and also where we can kind of trim costs where it makes sense. So cautiously optimistic, Councilmember.
Thanks much.
Well, Rod's question was much more sensible than mine.
Well, that's a first. I mean, even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while, Councilmember.
Oh, no. I'll give you props in that department all the time. Mine's all about fun. So first off, pickleball lessons, I need to sign up.
Okay. I think I might need to too.
I met a constituent campaigning this fall, and she said, let's do pickleball. And I'm thinking, yeah, I better figure out how to do pickleball before I really embarrass myself. And then the other thing is there any sign of normalcy coming back, like with the pancake breakfast or what did they call it? The attic sale, the
rummage sale?
The rummage sale. Yeah. Any sign of that happening this year?
So I'll kind of take those in order. Pancake breakfast, we're actively trying to recruit kind of the group of volunteers, because that was volunteer run. So we're recruiting volunteers right now to kind of take that on again. Optimistically, we'd love to do a pancake breakfast in May and see if we can actually pull one together. I know those have been really important, and we'd love to get those going again if we can. And so as soon as we can kind of, we're set up for it on our end, as soon as we can get the volunteer groups to kind of to do that. I think that that was a beloved event. So
could I put a shout out for that during city council?
That would be awesome.
Okay. Okay.
Rummage sale, we do not plan on bringing that back this year. There are several kind of complicating questions with that one and how it operated and what it did. And so we've kind of taken a close look. We're only bringing back 3 events this year, and we'll be doing a big gala for our 50th anniversary. We're hoping to pull together a 4th of July event that kind of aligns with what's happening in a city parade that day. And then, of course, our 5K race that benefits our inclusion program for young people with diverse abilities is also on track for today on August 6th, or for this year. So those are the 3 we're gonna tackle this year.
Okay, you'll have to tell me who to get in touch with on the 5K race for a volunteer, because I'd like to help out with that.
Oh, that'd be delightful. Yeah, I'll send out information to this group.
Okay, but if you're doing a pie eating contest on the 4th, I'm volunteering James for that.
Easy now. I'm on a diet.
Rod wants in on that just because it sounds good.
All right.
All right, are there any more questions? Aside from establishing that we are all indeed food motivated animals. All right, moving on to discussion items. Consideration of minute order MO-22-02 NPRSA building maintenance investigation, staff authorization, logistics, and timetable.
Christine, I think I was going to kind of say a few words about where this came from.
Yep. Go
Okay.
ahead. Mm-hmm.
So just for everyone's benefit, the current tenant agreement, as you probably know, assigns routine maintenance to the senior center and capital improvements to the NPRSA. Historically, the senior center has really relied on our in-house maintenance staff and a team of volunteers to really kind of do the maintenance and repairs around the sites. And the pandemic has really has done 2 things. It's created kind of a backlog of repairs and maintenance that needs to happen. At the same time, it's really decimated our volunteer program and the groups of people who used to kind of help us keep that going along at the center. So our maintenance position is currently vacant, has been for a few months. It's been difficult to really fill in this labor market. And because right now we really want to efficiently maximize the impact of the levy dollars for the taxpayers, we're wondering if it makes sense right now to look at a different arrangement for maintenance at the centers. And so that kind of started this discussion for us.
Yeah, and so I guess we're looking at trying to create, like Nathan said, a different way where the NPRSA is taking more on for the routine maintenance of the buildings. We have been discussing what that looks like. We haven't spent too much time and resources on it because we really wanted you guys, the board, to kind of lead us in the direction that you guys think we should be going. So I feel like what we should do is take some time in the next month to investigate what that would look like and kind of the logistics of the partnership in the maintenance, and then call a special meeting in April so that we can provide the information that we find and a plan of action and implementation to you, and have you guys decide on if that is the way we want to move. So
And I had a question.
Yes.
So to clarify, there's nobody who's taking care of the maintenance now, is that correct? And
We're
is
kind
this,
of we're piecemealing it right now in-house. So we have a few volunteers that are helping us out, and we're contracting out and kind of limping ourselves along while this position's vacant.
okay. And is there an opportunity you're trying to hire that position internally, is that correct?
We have been, yes.
Okay. Is it possible to, instead of hiring somebody to contract that maintenance work with a firm, with a company?
It would be, we could take a closer look at that. The type of maintenance is pretty much, we'd need to have somebody kind of on site to do it. So most firms who do that kind of work would contract at a higher rate than we can hire staff to do it for, or that we budgeted for this year. But we could take another look at contracting out.
Okay, I asked that, only asked that because I'm actually in the construction industry.
Mhm.
And I know that we, in our firm, have found it tough to find labor right now. But we're finding that if we find the right partner, and we have regular work for that firm, we can then negotiate our rate at a lower rate that helps us versus actually hiring somebody whom we put on payroll, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe we can connect, Nathan, here
That'd be great.
over the next week, and I can kind of share some of the insights that I'm working with in my day-to-day.
Okay, that'd be great.
Rod with a question?
I have Rod.
Councilmember.
Thanks. You gotta call me Rod here. I may have missed this, but I want to make sure we're not talking about kind of changing responsibility for who pays for the work. It's more how it gets done. Under our kind of contract or lease with the senior center, that the obligation to cover the maintenance costs would still be with the senior center. Is that kind of the vision?
I think that we've talked about different different scenarios, and so we haven't put too much time and resource into really digging into what it looks like. But we talked about maybe us charging a rent and then taking on to supplement some of those maintenance costs. We've talked about if there was the possibility of the NPRSA doing just certain maintenance items. But I think that we really we need the direction from you guys to put resources into me, especially, I would have to get cost estimates on what those maintenance items look like, preventative maintenance, routine maintenance, and then any reactionary maintenance. And that could cost money to get, to put together a plan, it's time to get estimates. And so we didn't want to waste any time. So that's why we came to you guys, so that we can at least start putting action items into place. Does that answer your question, Rod? Sorry.
Well, I think so. I think what I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I heard you say is there is an interest in reopening the contractual obligations with respect to who's responsible for paying for basic maintenance under the lease. And I want to say that I think we should, number one, be very careful as the NPRSA to be true to what we told the voters when we went and asked for a tax increase to pay for big structural uh, I hate to use the same word, maintenance, but the big issues on the facility, the capital costs, yeah. But we have some maintenance we're responsible for as the owner. Under our agreement, our contract, the senior center has responsibilities for some of the maintenance too. My understanding is big picture, and I could be wrong on this, but that our budget's getting kind of tight on the things we want to do on the big stuff that we ran the tax measure for. And I guess before we reopen the contractual arrangement that could further put pressure on the funds that we are receiving to do the big work, I think we should really have some real thoughtful discussion about that.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And yeah, that's the reasoning why we brought this to you guys really early on in the game, so that we can talk about it, open it up for discussion. And then that gives me time and Nathan time to research it well and come to you guys with what we find. And then we can sit down and have that meeting in April and say, hey, lay it out on the table. This is what this would cost. This is what this looks like. And then we can, kind of hash it out then.
So I had a question about the current organizational structure of NPRSA, and as it sits now, it seems to me that it's not structured in such a way that would make taking on maintenance easy. It sounds like it would just be 10 times harder to do it. And I'm wondering if there's an organizational change we need to make, a parks district, because I know I can just speak for myself here, but this is far above my pay grade in terms of taking on maintenance contracts and sort of supervising something in that capacity. I'm fine to look over receipts for actually doing the repairs, but in terms of ongoing maintenance, that seems to be above and beyond, like to Rod's point, more than what the levy was supposed to cover. So the other question I guess I have is the inability to provide the maintenance because you can't find someone, or because there is inadequate funding? Because I think if you can't find an employee to do the work, that's one thing, but if you don't have the money to do the repairs, it makes no difference if you can't find the employee. So I'm curious sort of where we are in what seems to be the limiting reagent in this reaction.
And that's a great question. The challenge, I think, has been both. We have money in the budget to cover maintenance, but it's not a huge budget, and that includes the staffing cost of staffing someone to do the maintenance, an in-house staff to do the maintenance. And that's a really hard position to fill right now, especially at the scale we've got and what we have available to do it with. So we're going to find a solution to this one way or another. As we're trying to get creative on how to get the needs met here, we're just trying to put all creative options on the table to think about what might be possible.
So I had a follow-up question. How was the budget calculated for how much money you needed for repairs? Was it a ballpark estimate? Was it based on some sort of metric? How did you come to the $100,000 number?
It was based on kind of previous year's experience and estimates of what we saw in the pipeline. So, and then also based on what we had been paying, compensation wise.
Okay, so for this meeting in April, then what you're going to come back to us with is what are some of the options that you can look at. But again, speaking for myself, I'd like to see if an organizational change makes sense, sort of in the middle of this right now, if that would make it a little bit easier to create funding, perhaps have more full time. I have no idea what a park district would look like. But for me, I just feel like this is starting to hit sort of the upper end of what my understanding of facilities management is. And I think we deserve people who actually know what they're doing as opposed to just guessing. So I'll be interested to see the report that you guys bring back to us next month.
Okay.
Are there any more questions? All right. Moving on to discussion of in-person meeting. Oh, nope, sorry. We need a motion, don't we? So I would entertain a motion on minute order MO 22-02.
So moved.
Sorry,
Right, I've had
sorry,
a,
I'm sorry, can you read the motion? I apologize.
certainly the recommended motion was move to approve minute order MO 22-02 NPRSA building maintenance investigation.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Right, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstention.
For the minutes, I didn't quite catch that. Who motioned and who seconded?
I heard Councilmember Dombowski and I think Councilmember Zorns.
Okay, I heard you both at the same time. So
I was not Dombowski.
Oh, it was not. All right.
No, I'm sorry. Because I'm really not sure what I'm voting on.
So just to give clarification on this point, I mean, we already voted on it, but we're asking you to vote this time is just to approve us using staff time and effort essentially to look into this further and then come back to you in April at our special meeting with our findings, at which point we will make a decision. This really just serves as a way for us to gauge your interest in this direction at all. If all of you had said, no, absolutely not, we like this arrangement exactly how it is, then we wouldn't have done anything. But also hearing your sort of preliminary discussions about it really helps us to guide our investigation moving forward. So for example, Councilmember Dombowski, I'm hearing from you that you really do not want to change responsibility of who is doing what maintenance, if possible, in keeping with the spirit of the levy. So having that from you is very useful information as we go forward with thinking about how might we find ways that the NPRSA could potentially support the senior center in getting this maintenance done without radically changing the existing tenant agreement, for example.
Yeah, so in the, if I might, Chair Best Counsel, since there's a motion on the floor and having heard the kind of summary from Barbara there, let me say I haven't made my mind up yet, but I'm okay to support this motion to bring back more information and kind of lay of the land, if you will. But I want to say that I want to be very cautious. I love our senior center, and I know it struggles with funding, and maintenance of the building is a funding issue. But the number one priority for me is keeping true to what we told the voters about what we were going to do with their money. And that was kind of the big picture repairs and to take care of the facility that had not had investment to keep it going for a long time because that was just never set up. I think it might be reasonable, and the voters, there was an existing contractual arrangement. I think if we were to go talk to voters, if you can, they might say, well, yeah, if you can support the senior center and taking care of the building on its side, do that too, right? If you can. But I just think we should proceed carefully here. So I'm looking forward to that April discussion. And I'm not saying no at all. I want to be supportive, but I want to make sure we're kind of doing first things first with respect to our obligations as an entity, what we have to take care of under our current obligations. That's it. I know that's not super articulate, but that's kind of what I'm thinking.
No, I appreciate the clarification.
And our city manager partners were right. I was trying to keep it as low a rate as possible. They're like, you're going to need more money. Well, they were right, weren't they?
Don't ever tell a city manager they were right. That's a terrible idea.
Anyway, I'm glad we went with the penny higher rate, whatever it was, a nickel or 6 cents or something.
So,
we have a comment from Vice Chair McNeil as well.
Okay. Vice Chair McNeil, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. And I would just like to echo, I'm looking forward to the discussion in April. And I would also tend to, the way I look at the past history and the conversations that were had, I tend to agree with Rod. And there was a lot of work that was done, groundwork that was done on ensuring that everybody knew where these dollars were going. And so if we're going to change that, I would have some reservations if we didn't make it an open and public transparent process. So I would be cautious of it, but I'm definitely supportive of looking at other avenues and ways to work with the senior center and the facilities themselves.
Thank you, Mr. McNeil. So are there any more comments on the motion here? I think we've sort of teased out that there's going to be more information coming to us in April, and we've all sort of danced around, I think, the same point that, you know, we'd like to see what the options are, but that we stay true to the levy, and move from there, from that as the starting point to see what our options are moving forward. Does that seem like a fair assessment to everybody so far? All right, so Barbara, I think we can all take a voice vote on this one. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions. All right, moving on to the second discussion item, discussion of in-person meetings.
Okay, so just thinking that since the pandemic's kind of winding down a bit, I know we've talked in the past about resuming in-person meetings at some point. So I wanted to take this opportunity to put it to the board, sort of the time frame on which they would like that to happen. So just for your context on this, the current OPMA rules are still in effect, so we do not have to resume in-person meetings at this time. That being said, based on rules for similar organizations and similar boards, once you make the decision to go to in-person meetings, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to go back to doing all virtual. So this is sort of a, once we make the choice, we're committed situation. And as I mentioned in the email that I sent out when we were tacking this onto the agenda, the decision ultimately rests with the board chair. So I would invite all of the members of the board to sort of let us know your thoughts about this. And then we'll ask Chair Bess Campbell to make a decision for the April meeting. The other option I guess we could throw in there, besides going all in person at the senior center or remaining all virtual the way that we've been doing, would be to set up a hybrid format where some people are in person and some people are remote. That can get a little tricky with OPMA just because of basically needing to make sure that everyone can be seen and heard. It's an option that we could certainly explore, but the senior center facilities where historically the board has met in person do not really have the technology for that. So we would need to look into either meeting at Bothell City Hall where those systems are in place, or else potentially making some fairly insignificant technology purchases so that we have the equipment to do that. So I will let you talk amongst yourselves.
Councilmember Zorns, you have your hand raised.
Okay, so this is just my opinion. I love the idea of meeting in person. However, there's a couple things going on. One, this is pretty convenient to be able to do this remotely. It's really convenient. And then the other piece is I want to warm back up my people exposure. So I'm in the classroom, I substitute, so I'm in a variety of different classrooms. And I think city council is going to be moving back into being in person. Those are big. So part of me wants to limit how much, I want to wade into the shallow end. I don't want to jump into the deep end. So my inclination is to stay remote through, I would say, the flu and cold season of 2023, like February, March. However, might we be able to notice a special meeting where, because we need to notice it, right? Where we could meet in person in the summer outside, get to see each other's faces, and have a conversation and do something in person, but maintain this remote format. That's just my druthers. But I will put my big girl panties on if the decision is, yeah, we would really benefit from being in person.
Any other strong feelings either way from the panelists? Anybody?
This is Rod, I'll jump in. I think the history has been, we were doing hybrid meetings before it was a thing, right? Because you had to almost get a quorum of this squad. And so I agree with Councilmember Zorns that the remote has been very effective at making sure we can get our business done, increasing participation. I think the technology has really come a long way. And so I have no problem continuing to meet remotely on this platform. I think it's been just fine. And I'm happy to come and see y'all at, a Wednesday coffee session at the coffee bar.
Yeah, and if I may, I would just add, I would echo the previous comments. The in-person has allowed more participation in the majority of the meetings that I attend. So, and as Rod alluded to, we had many members often to try to get quorums on the phone. So we were, while it wasn't virtual visual, it was virtual by way of phone. So I like this. It allows us to have more participation. My understanding is we're meeting bi-monthly now. Is that accurate? Correct?
Yes.
So I think that even in itself would allow us to get together virtually, and then if we needed a special meeting like in April or something, maybe we could come together for an in-person in April or something. But yeah, I would be for remaining virtual for now.
Well, I'm so happy that you all agree with the decision that I was going to push for anyways. I think with all the aforementioned points, plus let's not forget that gas is creeping upwards toward $5 a gallon. And, we really don't need to travel by bus or car if we can all attend. I think we're more consistently attending remotely right now, particularly for these larger meetings over different jurisdictions. Some people have longer drives, some people have shorter drives. Life tends to be messy and get in the way. So I think for now, if we can, maintain the remote meetings, I think that would be advantageous. And we can always, I guess, schedule a field trip where we can actually see what we look like in person in 3 full dimensions and not just 2. That would be really nice. But if we could stay, remote for the time being, as long as the order would allow, I think that there's all the reasons to stay remote and very few reasons to go in person.
Sounds good to me. I will keep the board apprised whenever there is a change to the Open Public Meetings Act requirements. But until then, it sounds like you all want to stay remote.
And all right, we're moving on from that. Future meetings. Now, this potential meeting in April. So North Shore School District is on spring break that week of April 11th. So probably not that week for the special meeting that we were talking about.
Yes, Christine just messaged me something.
Yeah, I think that the last week of April is what we're gonna shoot for. So that last Wednesday in April.
That would be the 27th.
Okay. The last meeting in okay. 27th. Okay. And it'll be at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, if there is no further business in front of us, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I have one item.
Oh, perfect.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sorry. I have a request for if there is time, Madam Chair, on our April agenda to have a discussion item. It'd be probably led by Councilmember McNeil and myself on North Shore youth sports and activity center needs. Some of you may recall I put some money allocated to this special purpose district out of our King County Youth and Amateur Sports capital grants funding we had a couple years ago. It's a few $100,000. I'm now forgetting the amount, but Councilmember McNeil has had a vision to bring on some capacity in the North Shore area for youth and amateur recreation. in terms of a building. And I'd like to at least have this entity have a discussion about whether or not that's something we want to investigate, pursue, and perhaps, propose to go after. And this would be a very preliminary one. There hasn't been much groundwork laid, but there's been a lot of discussion and looking at sites. And I don't think we've had a formal agenda item here on this district. And we have some money sitting, or at least dedicated from us at King County, that we could put to use to start in earnest with perhaps feasibility analysis and maybe siting, searching, and things like that. And James has done a lot of work, but I'd like to have a discussion and see where folks are on it.
Right, anybody
Plus, I
else?
promised James, I said, this is our year. You got to move.
It is, and thank you, Rod, for bringing that up. Very, very important conversation. It is all of our years, yes, and especially North Shore with all of your hard work and dedication. Best Starts for Kids levy, amazing work on that, Rod, and getting $50 million set aside. Let's see what we can do to bring it home for the North End. Madam Chair, I just wanted to say it's an honor to be back here with all of you, to see your smiling faces as part of the NPRSA. This is probably the funnest committee, the most near and dear committee to me, working within my area here in the Bothell community, the North Shore community, and serving all of not only the seniors, but the youth as well. And so I look forward to being back. And I just want to tell you that hearing you chair this meeting, to me, it broke me up a little bit because you're doing an amazing job. So thank you.
Second.
Flattery's not going to get you anywhere. Stop it. How dare you? I've heard, this board has done amazing work over the years. And I think that, the fact that we're going to continue investigating options and how to make it bigger and better, but still hold true to the original vision of the NPRSA, I think it's a testament to everybody who's been here for a lot of years and magically hasn't gotten any older while doing it. So I want to thank the group for all of the hard work that you guys do. And we will be remote for the time being. So PJ Pants for everybody. And I will see everybody on the April 27th meeting, and we will discuss stuff and things.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank
Good night.
you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.